Good morning, viewers. Welcome to this very special edition of The Conversations. And we'll be having a discourse on the forthcoming Nigeria Fintech Week, scheduled from October 25th to 29th, 2021. We meet to have a conversation around this, and what we should expect is Dr. Babatunde Obrimah, the Chief Operating Officer, Fintech Nigeria. Nice to have you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Let's first begin with the theme. You said it's sustainability and ecosystem building. Now, how does this connect with the fintech community? I have been really curious to know how this team connects with the fintech community.
Okay, so sustainability is extremely important. So we always say that fintech is disrupting the ecosystem. We put it that way. I mean, always. I aggregate fintech with disruption, but then with COVID-19, disruption itself was disrupted. So something stronger than everyone expected disrupted everybody. So how do you sustain that ecosystem? How do you ensure that we can plan for such disruptions in the future? I mean, the COVID had different impact on various sectors of the fintech ecosystem. For people in payments, maybe they enjoyed it because people couldn't do anything but have to use digital platforms to do their transactions. For those in other areas, I mean, maybe in insurtech, in agri-tech, and they had challenges. I mean, there were logistics issues. I mean, logistics companies also benefited from that because e-commerce probably grew during that period since people could not move around. So how do you sustain business? How do you sustain your operations? So sustainability is extremely important, and it also translates into ecosystem building. So when we say ecosystem building, we're not just talking about we're talking about the whole. For us at Fintech Association of Nigeria, it's about the entire ecosystem. So we have membership from our 20 different sectors. So there's insurtech, there's agri-tech, there's edtech, there's health tech, and you have the payments, you have lending, you have blockchain companies. So it's all the whole gamut. How do we now look at the ecosystem building, aligned with sustainability, not just with payments? Payment is critical because payment is foundational to any digital economy to prosper. So because everybody will leverage on a good payment system. So if you're doing insurtech, you're providing service, agri-tech, you're providing service. How do people pay for that service? If there's no strong payment structure, then it will all fail. And that's one that we've done very well in Nigeria. We have a very strong payment structure. I think one of the best in the world. We can say that boldly, and so how do we now have that ecosystem that transforms beyond just payment, but to every sector within the fintech ecosystem, including public sector? I mean, look, today I was reading in the papers that the acting Controller General of Immigration disguised himself and went to the passport office and uncovered many. And it's because everything is manual. Why do you have to go to the passport office to do your transaction? It can all be digitally done. So how do we transform beyond that? Look, one of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria today that wants to divide this country is this issue of open grazing. With biotechnology and agriculture, we can set up biotech labs in Northwest and Northeast and produce enough pasture, not only for Nigeria, but can be exported. We just need to have locations for where the herdsmen are, and drones can be used to drop pasture on a daily basis. So they don't need to move around. The animals will gain better weight, they produce better milk. So, I mean, when we start having discourse in the 21st century about things that technology can resolve, it's a huge problem. So ecosystem building cuts across. So, I mean, it's wide and it's something that can transform the economy.
All right. I mean, it is very clear now because experts or analysts used to say that Nigerian fintech ecosystem has evolved, but it must move beyond payments. So I'm happy that you've talked about the fact that there are broader perspectives than just the payment segment, and that's good because that's very important to the good of the industry. But let's look at the ambitious. I mean, you talk about 1 million plus attendees. I know that I don't know any stadium that or any facility that can take 1 million people at the same time. But yes, this is about a hybrid event. So how do you intend to ensure that this is effectively managed, physical and then of course digital?
Okay. Well, I mean, the idea when we started looking at the project for this year was how do we have 1 million attendees? And if the one of our event is really targeted at students, and what we had intended was to have viewing centers in as many universities across the country, and students can join what's it called. Unfortunately, we're discovering that most universities are on vacation even right now. So we didn't expect that in October students are going to be on vacation because and you know, in the what's called, we'll probably talk about day one of our event is about students launching of our digital project and what have you. So we really add that in mind, coupled with the fact that we have ecosystem partnerships with other associations. So we're part of the African Fintech Network, which has 35 Fintech national associations, where we have also have partnerships with associations in Israel, in Denmark, in Kenya, in Bahrain, you know. So we have partnerships across board who will also be joining. I mean, this year, as a matter of fact, a follow-up, the Singapore Fintech Festival is partnering with us also on this event, and we'll be featuring on the 11th of November, streaming Singapore Fintech Festival from Nigeria for the African edition. You know, so we have we expect that a lot of people will join because of all those networks that we are channeling. We're also partnering with all the other associations in Nigeria, Nigerian Bar Association, the Nigerian Institute of Management. We've sent to all of them to share within their network because technology cuts across everything that we do. And it's good that everybody comes to look at what technology is all about. I'm not sure if we'll achieve the 1 million, but we know that with students being away on campus, that becomes a challenge for us. But then we expect a huge turnout for this event.
I like the fact that you're collaborating with other institutes and associations. That's very important, and that's how we broaden the impact of technology. And then let's look at the keynote speakers. I mean, keynote speaker and the quality of panel sessions. Do we expect the president? Who do we expect at this event?
Okay, so I mean, in terms of our keynote speakers, we expect one of the divisional president for MasterCard to be the keynote speaker. We also we're expecting, I mean, there's a keynote panel, there's a fireside chat, which has the GMD of Zenith Bank, which has the MD of ALA, it has the MD of NIBS, you know, those are key. So we're looking at the incumbents, the, what's it called, ecosystem relevant player like NIBS. We're bringing in the fintech, ALA, so that, I mean, and they was to look at what's it called, what's happening across that affects the ecosystem. We actually have a topic called Disruption Disrupted, a session called Disruption Disrupted that actually looks at the whole gamut of what's happening within the ecosystem, the impact of COVID, and how people have been able to scale after that. So we have like the likes of the country manager for Microsoft. We have the country manager for West Africa for MasterCard. We have the MD of CTFE, TRAM. So CTFE is a global training capacity development fintech certification company we'll be coming to talk about. So we have a whole lineup of speakers, close to 100 speakers for the event, for different sections of the event. I mean, different days are looking at different things, you know, within the ecosystem. I mean, Friday has always been a day for blockchain. So Friday we'll be looking at just blockchain and all the derivatives within the blockchain application usage.
Okay, that's interesting. Tell us about the DigiStuds initiative. What's it all about, and what does it intend to achieve in the whole ecosystem?
Okay, so day one will be launching DigiStuds. DigiStuds is just a short form for digital students. So earlier this year, or starting from last year, there was a survey that we did together with EY to look at the fintech ecosystem. And one thing that came across where we were talking to various stakeholders, incumbents, fintechs in different gamuts was lack of skills. And what came across the fact that our universities are not really preparing students for the future of work. Are they looking at the issue of digital transformation in the training curriculum? So what we decided that with those feedbacks coming from, which was really at top of the issues challenges that fintechs and had, is to look at how do we develop a curriculum that students can plug into and they can learn about coding, they can learn about blockchain, they can learn about entrepreneurship skills, and it's going to be free for the students. However, we expect corporate Nigeria to support the initiative by sponsoring. Also, it becomes a talent pool for organizations. So if as an organization, you decide that you can sponsor in 60 students, those 60 students can actually intern with your organization. They can become a pool from which you have your future employees. The training can actually be modified to suit your organization. If you want some specific things introduced into it, is that flexible? So, I mean, that's the whole idea of the DigiStuds. I mean, and we are partnering with various universities across the nation to get their students who are interested to register. We have a screening process that screens students who have registered. I mean, we already sent out the forms there, and we have over 2,500 students who have shown interest. We do not have capacity right now for that, but we hope that as we launch it, we're going to get more support from corporate Nigeria to support this initiative. But the beauty of it that we can actually do the training in series. We can start at any time, and not a batch. We can start a batch at any point in time within the year, and they just go through the training process. So we think that with that, people can easily have people fit into their organizations without, so it doesn't really matter where. So you can imagine if you're studying agriculture and you go through this process, you already understand the whole gamut of digital transformation. Yeah. You're better off to come up with solutions for the agricultural sector rather than an IT person trying to solve a problem in the agri sector. Or you're a pharmacist or whatever you do, but you understand what's and you can do coding, you can always look, these are problems in my area, what's and I can provide solutions for them. And that's the whole idea. We hope that the plan is to be able to, how can we do 500,000 students every year? It's a huge ambition. But if we do that, it solves a whole lot of problems. Even if 250,000 of them go to Canada, we still have 250,000 left here.
That's great. That's great. So regulation is very important. And I want to just ask you, the regulators, how has that been effective in ensuring that we have an enabling environment for the fintech? In the last 1 year, the advocacy, we've seen the digital stockbroker license issued to Chaka. We've seen several developments, but again, stakeholders want an open and accessible regulatory sandbox framework in the country. How is it being addressed so that we can really see more from the fintech industry?
Well, I think that there's progress. Regulators to be regulators, but I think the challenge is the fact that at times as fintechs, we want regulators to be as fast as we move, but it's not going to happen that way. But I think we can see progress, even despite the few challenges that we have here and there. We're beginning to see engagement, a lot of engagement. I mean, there's the fintech roadmap document being worked on by the central bank, for which they've invited stakeholders to be part of, including the Fintech Association. There's the startup bill that's being driven by the presidency and the Minister for Digital Economy, for which we've also had our input in. Even with regards to the e-Naira, for example, we were invited to make presentations. So, I mean, we've been having various engagements at various levels with the regulators. I believe that it will get better. It won't be perfect, but it will keep improving. Look, there was a time that there was no department looking at fintechs in the CBN, we have that's progress. I mean, there's a set roadmap for capital markets. That's progress. I mean, you might have those one or two shocks that you get from regulators, but those are regulators. Regulators will always be regulators. But we've seen that they're more engaging. We hope that it will get better with time, and then that we'll get to a stage where regulators are like the regulators in Singapore, where they actually be the one driving the process rather than the fintechs. But so I always say that the journey with regulators is not a dash; it's a marathon. It's going to be something that will be ongoing. But it's I think it's been a good journey despite all the challenges. When you talk to fintechs who are trying to scale outside of Nigeria, they tell you some of the challenges they have in other African countries. So I think that but our regulators are not doing badly. It could be better.
Thank you very much, Dr. Babatunde Obrimah, Chief Operating Officer of Fintech Nigeria. And this is wishing you a very successful Nigeria Fintech Week Summit.